as well as the question and answer guides that are available. Also, if you've not started or if you haven't started or completed, I should say, your TED training, this must be done by the end of the month, and I mean the TED training on STAR. A reminder email did get sent out yesterday providing this information if you need to complete it or finish it, just so you're aware. And supervisors, I can provide you the information. I do have the report of people's names and if they have started it but yet have not completed it. So just so you know. Just know that this must be done by the end of the month. And if you have not started TED, you might be new to VR, new to your position, and you did not receive an email, please let your supervisor know, and then supervisors will need to email me and I'll get that set up for you. Okay, email changes. As many of you are aware, there have been some changes to email accessibility. If you were a VR technician and are now a VR youth tech, there must be the IT user form that's going to be put in having you make this change in the system. But in addition to that, there also needs to be a checkoff box. So if you see here, I'm assuming you can see my arrow, the VR distribution list under here under permissions, you need to be added to that as well. Otherwise, they will not automatically add you to the VR Youth Tech email distribution list. So if you are not on that list, and this is where I'm going to ask supervisors, and actually VR Youth Techs, you can do this too. If you go onto our email account and you put in VR Youth Tech in your area, you can open that up to see if your name is listed there, and if it's not, then this form is going to need to be submitted. So just so you know, we're not putting you in there, not intentionally. It's just a form that needs to be completed to make sure that everyone is receiving the emails that we sent out, and you also get any invitations to meetings that we have. So, WIOA updates. It seems every time our trusted VR administrators go out to national sessions on WIOA, they're bringing back more information and more changes. The newest is the requirement that we must have disability documentation for the students we serve in STAR. And this documentation must be received prior to the start of services. Originally, we were told that we were not going to need any kind of disability documentation, that as long as the schools say, yes, they have an IEP or 504, that will be enough. That's no longer enough. And that attestation statement at the end of the portal, STAR portal referral, will also not be enough. So we don't have to go back to schools and say, I'm sorry, here's yet another change. This is what we're going to be doing. The procedural expectations, which you all have a copy of and are also on our VRINet page, have been updated to include a process for us being able to acquire the disability documentation. And what we're going to, just as an overview as far as what that's going to do, or what that process will include, or does include, I should say, is when you, the VR Youth Techs, are setting up your meetings with parents, you are going to want to ask them, either the age of majority student, the adult student, the parent, or the guardian, you're going to want to ask them for a copy of the 504 or IEP and have that brought to the meeting, your initial meeting with them. If they don't have a copy of their 504 or IEP, you can ask them to request one from the school, or you can have them complete a release of information document. Once they complete that release of information document, we then have the ability to go to the school and say we would like a copy of the IEP or 504. I have a feeling that we're just going to continue with updates and continue with new things as our CSA VR partners interpret the law. I don't anticipate this being the last thing, but we're just updating you guys as we get that. And again, not to make any more changes with the schools because, you know, they're kind of frustrated enough with us as it is. This is going to be kind of put on our shoulders. So again, if the parents have a copy parents, guardians, or age and majority students have a copy of their IEP 504, great. If we can get them to ask for the information, great. But if not, again, get that release of information signed, and then we'll be able to submit that to the school for a copy of that 504 or IEP. Sorry, I know that's not the best news, but I have more for you. RSA 911. So many of you are aware, I would imagine, that we now have this 911, which is basically how data is being collected on the services that we're providing in order to be able to show that we are complying with the law. So this is new information received by RSA 911 regarding required data elements that have to be collected. Most of this information that you see on your screen is either on the STAR application, excuse me, not the STAR application, but the STAR portal, or the STAR application, meaning what you go into under the VRINet. So most of this information is being collected. However, three things: race, ethnicity, and student disability is not. Since we don't currently collect this information, and there is no way as of right now for that to be input in the STAR referral, we must collect this by hand. So what I have done is put it in the script as well as put it on that document that I shared with you last time as far as the information collection document. I've put that right into there so you are able to collect that information at your introductory meeting or that initial meeting that you have with the adult, student, family, parent, or guardian. So I believe, let me see if I can pull up a copy of that for you so you can see what that looks. Oh, actually, I think I have one right in the presentation. Okay, so again, these are the three things that need to be collected. So here it is. This is what I've actually done. So if you remember from last time, the student's name, the date of meeting was put in there. So the race, ethnicity, and student disability is also part of that. Now, because we have to have, again, the documentation of the IEP or 504, you'll notice I've also included that on this document. So if the plan was received, you're going to want to put either a yes or no there. So IEP 504 plan received, so a Y or N or yes or no, whatever you want. If they didn't provide one to you, the date that the release was signed, if applicable, and when it was sent to the school. So you have these two pieces of information showing that you did get the release of information signed, and then the date that you actually forwarded that to the school, and then the date that the IEP or 504 plan was received from the school. Again, we have no way right now to get that into our system, but if we have it here in paper form, and you'll notice that it no longer is something that you can just use if you want to, you need to use this document now that we have to collect this information. Again, I'm sorry, but we're trying to do whatever we can to comply with the requirements that we have. And again, this is a way for us to make sure that we're doing what we have to do and we're complying and that all of those requirements are being captured in one place. Okay, as I'm sure you're becoming aware, documentation is imperative to the STAR cases. We never really know if and when a student is going to decide to apply to VR, and the more information we have, the better, because this will help not only the counselor who would be getting the case, but again, if we ever get to the point where we have to show what services, what progress, what complications, what we've needed to do to help accommodate a student through the STAR program, we have these kinds of things documented. Oftentimes the term CYA is used, but in this instance we're going to say CYS, cover yourself, is always going to be your best practice. So in using the comment section in the STAR application, there's a place where you can make updates to the case. So things that you're going to definitely want to make notations on is when you, excuse me, I'm sorry, when you get assessments, if there's anything that kind of jumps out at you, so for instance, if the student's really strong in a certain area, you want to put that in there. If a certain if a certain kind of piece of information jumps out at you that you feel would be important. So for a counselor to maybe know if he or she ends up applying for services, put that in there. If a student comes in and is very clear about their interests, career interests, you want to maybe note that. Any progress updates, as you know, you'll be getting reports from our providers. You want to put things like, you know, this month everything was great, students having difficulties with, blah, 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 whatever. Any alterations, so for instance, in the career path as the student is going through the STAR services, if they change and they're thinking they might want to go this way as opposed to that way, feel free to add that information in there. Any notations, whether it be from the student side, the parent side, or the provider side, needs, concerns, you definitely want to document those because those are things, again, that a counselor would be very grateful to know ahead of time. Also, if any of those things are pertinent to the student's success, you're going to want to have that in there because, again, we never know if we're going to be asked to show what were some of the issues that we had, how did we help students to overcome those. So that's where the last kind of bullet comes in. Any notations about recommendations for accommodations. And then if the student does decide that they want to apply to VR, you're going to want to put that in there. So again, we have all of that information kind of documented. Originally, we were going to have I forget what Kirk called it, but it was something else that was going to be in there, that was going to be specifically for notes. But since that didn't make it into the final STAR application, I was told when I talked with IT yesterday that you can use the comment section for that. So just so you know where we are as far as participation, we have gone up yet again as far as the number of schools that are involved. We now have 18 school districts that have identified school district representatives. Here they are listed for you. In addition, we have 5 new districts that are registered that have registered their POCs. And actually that number has gone up because as of last night, I believe there was 1 or 2 more. So we've got Dade, Escambia, Osceola, Pinellas, Santa Rosa. Oh, who was the other one? I don't remember who the last one was, sorry. And now that this has been done, I do expect STAR referrals to begin showing up shortly for these particular districts. I have been and will continue to reach out to district ESE directors to help them with understanding and be available to answer questions. In fact, I had another email come in this morning, so I'll be getting back to them as well as far as making sure that we're all good. I did have the call with the ESE directors yesterday. It went very well. Actually, it was the ESE and student service directors. It went very well. I didn't get a lot of questions. However, after the call, I got 4 phone calls from ESE directors wanting more information. So again, I think it's one of these things now that we have Bs on our side and we have the DOE on our side, and there's some heat. Monica, actually, I found this kind of interesting. Monica put a plug in and said that districts are very much driven by data, and if I could provide her with a list of districts that have already signed up students or who have point of contacts and who already have referrals in, she will disseminate that information to all of the ESE directors. So I have a feeling once directors know that their names are not going to be on a list that the DOE distributes, that will probably not look very good on their part. So I have a feeling we're going to be getting a lot of calls in the near future, which I'm excited about. We now have a number of referrals in areas 1 through 5, totaling actually over 50 referrals so far. This is quite an accomplishment, and your efforts are certainly evident by the increase in referrals. I know that that number is actually more than 50, but we had a couple that disappeared with some of our technical issues, so we're working on getting those back. There have been many IT issues brought to IT's attention through FITS. They're listed here. The last one, which is the supervisor's ability to assign referrals, is being addressed. In fact, they're not asking for any more FITS requests because they know about the issue. But if any of you are having any issues with seeing, with things that aren't working as they should be, as I told you last time, please submit that FITS request with screenshots. The more documentation, if you will, the better off they are. And also, this is new, if you can just shoot me an email and let me know that a FITS request was submitted and maybe include the screenshot, this way I know what's being submitted. I'm going to keep a folder of everything that I know has already been submitted because I know many of your supervisors have been in touch with me regarding issues. But if I don't know that FITS requests are being submitted, then I can't check up on them. So if you do submit a FITS request with a screenshot, you can either, I don't know if you can take a screenshot of that and send that to me, or just shoot me an email and say, I just want to let you know that we did submit, or I did submit this FITS request, and here's the screenshot that I put with it. And that way I have something to follow up with if we don't hear anything. So if you could do that, I would really appreciate it. This is a really short presentation as far as the things I have to share with you, so now I want to make myself available and actually be available to answer any questions that you may have. So at this time, if you can go ahead and put any questions in, I'd appreciate it. Okay, I'm seeing what has come in. Where did you say this document will be available? Valencia, I'm assuming you're talking about the procedural guidelines document? I'll give you a moment to answer and I'll go on to the next question. Kimberly asks, if we have referrals given to us previously and all of the information is not there, can we send it back to the school and request that they send the information to our contact? How will this also pertain to homeschooled students? So Kim, I guess I'm a little perplexed as to what you mean by given referrals. Are you talking about the referrals that have come through the STAR portal? If you can please clarify that piece of it. And then you go on to say, how will this also pertain to homeschool students? Homeschool students, as I've shared with you in the past, are still the responsibility of the district. So if you have a student who is interested in STAR, they will have to know, or they'll have to let the SDR know at their school so that that referral can be put into place. As far as the additional information that is required, I'm assuming if you have already met with the student, you're going to want to call them, well, call the family, call the parent guardian to get those additional pieces of information, if again that's what you're talking about, Kimberly. Tammy, I just wanted to let you know that we are actively working on an issue supervisors are having in the STAR application. They receive an error when trying to assign. I will let everyone know. Okay, thank you for your help. Awesome. Thanks for letting me know that you got that email. Thank you. I appreciate it. I think Kimberly's clarifying. My issue is currently with the schools not giving our contact all of the required information to enter the students into STAR. Not giving our contact all of the required information. Kimberly, why don't you give me a call after the call so I can figure out what the issue is, and then if it's something that the school district is just, everything that's on the portal is stuff that they should be entering. They need to enter, and I think many of those pieces actually have a star as required and will not let them go on until they do. All of this other extra information that we now need to have, they don't know about, and they won't know about it because it's not on the portal. So for instance, the race, ethnicity, and student disability. In that particular instance, we're going to have to contact the families to get that additional information. But again, give me a call afterwards and I'll see what I can do to try to help with that. Danielle asks, has there been any communication with ESC directors or school district representatives in Okaloosa or Walton County? Let me look at my list here. Okay. Nope, that's not the right one. Okaloosa. So Okaloosa, I left a message with the secretary and I did follow up with an email to Melody, but I have not heard back from her. And then Walton, no, I've not heard back from them either. So I'll be following up with them again. Sorry, Danielle, I wish I had better news for you. Okay, so the service request form. Okay, let me get that for you. I'm going to go on to our our VRINet page here. Okay. And if we go to bureaus, field services, transition youth, and you go to STAR, okay, that document is under meeting resource materials. No, it's not. Yeah, right here, participant service request. So let's open that up and view. Okay, and you'll see the document right here. So the student name, race, and all those different things put right into it. So all of the resources that I've shared with you are all in the same location, all in here. Okay, now I have to get rid of this and swap over. Oops, display, swap view. Oh, what happened? Okay. Danielle asks, our schools across the state are listed and some with the same name. All of our referrals were entered under another school, different area with same name. Is there an edit button for the GC to use? GC? What is the GC? Or will they have to be entered? Sorry, Danielle, what does GC stand for? I'm sorry. If there were errors, if there were any kind of errors like that, we're going to have to talk about that more, because what could happen is we might have to go in and have those students deleted, and that's going to be a whole process in itself. We did have one issue in one other area where the school district representative put an incorrect social security number in, and IT told me there was two things I had to do. The first was to get the social security number that was used so they could find the student, and they were going to go in and try to see how they could delete the student from STAR. They weren't sure they were going to be able to, but they were going to see if they could. And then they directed me to have the person just re-enter the STAR referral again. And then what I did is I went to the office, the VR Youth Tech, and I let her know that there was going to be a duplicate student coming in, but to use the second one, not the first. But in that particular instance, we're going to have to get together, Danielle, and talk about how we can get this fixed. I'll probably have to contact IT and ask how they want it to be handled. But my guess is I'll have to get that information to you, submit it to them, see if they can delete the student, but in the meantime have those kids re-entered. So Valencia, the STAR application with the race, etc. should be noted. Yes, so again, Valencia, since the STAR app application as of right now, it's not because that information was not needed at the time. Like I said, we do have our people are working on, our 9/11 IT team is working on getting that information into fields that can be added, but for right now it's not. So that's why on that document you need to collect that information, and then at some point in time that will have to be entered into the system so that we have it recorded electronically. Beverly, is self-advocacy training available yet? Well, here we are with where we are with self-advocacy, Beverly, is this. So all of the curriculum, as you know, and rubric has been submitted. All of the fee codes have been accepted. IT now has everything, so they are in the process of programming. I will tell you that we have been given a 3-month ETA, but as you know from all previous kinds of IT things, I cannot let anyone know that officially. As soon as I know when IT is completed, their programming piece of it, I will let you know. We have asked that they give me at least 6 weeks prior to the quote-unquote go-live date, and I've actually asked for more than that, so that I can begin developing the training. And that training is going to be available to you guys, it will be available to school districts, and it will be available to providers. So you will all know well in advance of when that will go live, and also when that training will occur. But again, I've been told 3 months. I am not going to bet my buttons on that though, because usually they have many issues that they have to go through. And also that 3-month deadline does not include the testing, because as you know, all of the applications that get put through, all of the services have to be tested. So that 3-month is when they're going to be ready to actually test. So we'll see, but I will definitely let you know as soon as I know more. Please provide an update on the Broward Schools progress with respect to referrals. So Ms. Talbot, I'm actually going to leave that to Brian and his team. Brian told me that that is something he wants to share with the group, so I'm going to let him handle that. So yeah, that's what I have to share with you. But what I will do is I will let Brian know that you have asked for that again, and then I know the area soups he'll provide that information with them, so that make sure that they get that to you. Okay, Kimberly says they haven't come to STAR portal. Our contact doesn't have the required information to enter them. The school sent them over to me before they had the contacts. I received word from our contact that it is required a 703 and social security number. I'm still not getting this. So Kimberly, you cannot enter the referrals. They will have to enter the referrals. So if they handed you STAR referrals, they will have to go back. But let me handle that with the school. So give me a call after this session. We'll talk. I'll get the name of the person who actually provided those referrals to you. I'll call the staff over there and I'll let them know that we're receiving referrals, but we can't get them that way. So I'll try to handle it from my end, but just give me a call after that so we can talk about it. Okay, Cheryl says, one of my schools has entered a total of 25 referrals for Bayside High School. We just figured out this morning that there are 2 Bayside High Schools on the portal. It doesn't allow the school district rep to see which location is for her school. She just went in to try and change the school for the 24 referrals that have the wrong school, but there isn't an edit option. No. Will she have to re-enter those referrals? Again, I'm going to say the same thing to you, Cheryl. Give me a call afterwards. I'll get all of the information from you as far as who this person was and so on and so forth, and then we'll get in touch with IT and see what we can do. Next question, can you give an update in the situation regarding Broward County School District at Gonzalo? So I'm going to say the same thing that I said already. We need to, all of that information about Broward is coming directly from the area director. He was explicit in saying he wanted to be the one to deliver the information. So I will let Area 5 staff, admin know that you are also interested in getting an update, and I'm kind of surprised that you haven't, because I know there was a conference call that they had with unit, well actually was it unit soups? I don't know if it was unit soups or area soups, I'm not sure, but again I know they've been talking, so as soon as you hear from Brian then you'll know. I can't give you any details because I haven't been part of the conversation with Broward Schools. I know things were submitted to them for consideration, but I don't know if they've heard back from them. So that's why I said we need to go through your area director. Will a future database update be planned for STAR to facilitate any changes that need to be added, capturing the race, ethnic? Yes, yes, yes. So Ms. Talbot, as I mentioned a little bit ago, there is a 9/11, RSA 9/11 team that is developing programming for that data capturing piece, and they will be putting that into their system, which will then affect the STAR portal. So on the STAR portal, race, ethnicity, student disability will be included right on that STAR portal. But for now, we have to do it by hand. But yes, it will be. And I actually have a whole page of, well, I originally called it my wish list, but now it's called an enhancement list to STAR, of things that I need to see or I want to see changed in the portal as well as on the dashboards. So if you have any recommendations as far as things that might make your job a little bit easier, please send those to me, because I will add that to the enhancement list that I submit to IT. In fact, yesterday when we met with the area directors and area supervisors, one of the things I shared with them was an update to that I would like to see have made to the POC dashboard, so that they can actually see who has been referred from their school. Unfortunately, right now that is not one of the things that they can see, and nor can I actually, because of the issues we've had with IT. I don't see any referrals anymore, but I'm told that they're working on that as well. So there are a number of things that I've come up with that I think that would enhance the system, but if there are things that on your end that would be helpful and beneficial for you to have, I can't promise you it's going to happen, but all I can do is forward your requests onto them, and hopefully in the next version 2, if you will, of STAR, we'll get to see those things happen. So thank you. Oh, Danielle, guidance counselor. All right, let me go back to her question. Sorry, I probably should have known that, but I didn't. Where was GC? Okay. Schools across the state solicit the same. Okay, so that seems like it's the same issue. Is there an edit button for the guidance counselor to use, or will they, again, so whether it be the guidance counselor or whether it be the ESE school district representative, just give me a call. We'll talk about that, Danielle. But whoever it was that entered that referral, we'll have to find out from IT if they can just go in and make the change, meaning from our end, because I know there's no edit button, or if they'll have to be re-entered. But I just need to get the information so I can forward that accurately onto IT. Can you give an update in the situation? Okay, we just did that one. Will a future database? We just did that one. Should all youth techs know who their school representatives are? Yes. So for those, Steve, for those schools that I showed you on the presentation, let me go back. These schools here all have school district representatives identified. If you want to give me a call, I can, or shoot me an email. What I can do is do a screenshot of the school district representatives for that district, so you have those. And then what you would need to do, actually what I've let the school point of contacts know, is that the VR Youth Techs, you guys will be contacting the school district representatives to actually set up times to go in and do your presentations, and actually to develop dates where you can go in and be available at the school to either do intakes or to meet with students, families, so on and so forth. Valencia says, I'm still worried about getting a list of vendors with all the services they offer so we can present to the student instead of fumbling through everything. Can this list be obtained by our contract liaison in our district? Yes, Valencia, you should have a list. I was told by the directors that there is a list of providers on the SharePoint, on your SharePoint, that has all of the providers and what services that they have. If you don't have that list or don't know where that list is, check it with your supervisor. I was also told that every office has a list of the services and the providers that provide those services. If your office doesn't have this list either, you can definitely contact your contract liaison. But again, I've been told that it does exist in a number of locations, so on your SharePoint as well as at each office. But your contract liaison should have that if you can't find that anywhere else. Where can I check to make sure Star Tech is on the list and able to use site. So Kim, are you talking about the STAR application? StarTech is on the list. What list is on? So Kim, just put in what list you're talking about. I'm sorry. If referrals will be entered by some youth techs instead of the schools, has any consideration been given to the extra steps these youth techs will be doing, as this compares with other youth techs will not have these extra steps? Ms. Talbot, that is just something that we're having to do as far as there may be some exceptions, but as far as the responsibilities that youth techs have, it's as far as we know it right now is you'll be going out and you'll be doing your presentations to the schools, you'll be meeting with the students to do their meetings, and then you'll be submitting the referrals and the the referrals and the what are they called? Referrals and authorizations, that's it. If it comes down to anything else being done as opposed to different as opposed to what's being done now, that's something that you'll have to talk with your supervisors about. Basically, we have a responsibility, and that responsibility is getting these students into the system and then getting them served. So how that happens and the specifics, we'll have to talk about that on an individual basis. Okay, Patty, how is progress with Hillsborough County? Well, Hillsborough is still coming along. Patty, I did put another call into them. As I told you when I spoke at our area meeting, I had been in touch with them. I haven't heard back from them. I don't know if it's because of the holidays coming up, but I'm going to continue to try to reach out to them to be able to get things moving forward. I am concerned if I checked the distribution list. Oh, okay. So Kim, what I would do is hopefully you kept a copy of what you scanned in and submitted. If you didn't keep a copy of that, I'm trying to think, because you would have attached that. So hopefully you do have a copy. Check on that. If you don't, shoot me an email and then I can check over there with them to see if there was someone there that I can find out your answer. But hopefully you do have a copy of it. How has other school districts that have received STAR referrals received the IEP or 504 for students? Is this automatic? Okay, so Danielle, this is brand spanking new. I just presented this to the area directors yesterday and the supervisors yesterday and you today. So no one else has even heard of this yet. What I'm anticipating is that now that this information is out and I've shared that with you, that hopefully with this process of school, our staff asking for these ahead of time, that's kind of how we'll get over the majority of that. But know that this is only brand spanking new. So no one else has gotten this information other than the area directors and soups yesterday. So it has not been done yet, but it will have to happen from here on out. So is it an automatic? So again, the process that I've established for you guys is you want to ask the parents, guardians, or adult student when you make that call to schedule the meeting. From there, you're going to have that person hopefully bring that document to you. And then if they don't have it, then you can ask them to ask the school for it. But if they don't have it at that meeting, you can have them sign that release of information, and then we'll have to get that from the school. But again, brand new. We were meeting with some representatives from Highlands High School school board. Only one of the individuals has the info on the portal and a temporary password. Can this information be shared with other school reps, or do they need their own password? So as far as the Highlands goes, if the school district, the point of contact only wanted one school district representative, then that's the person who can make referrals. They can't share the information and give that to someone else because because the point of contact has to make that request. If for some reason that person, the school district representative, is feeling that there are other people who would like to make these referrals as well, they can either contact the point of contact and I can let you know who that is, or they can email me. And then what I've done in that instance is I've contacted that point of contact and said, hey, listen, there are people who are interested in doing these referrals. Can you set them up? And that's happened. That actually happened in Palm Beach. There was 2 people who reached out to me and said that they would like to be added, and the POC added them in. So it might just be that they hadn't thought about that person. So whether they do that directly or they'd like my assistance, I'd be happy to help with that. I just would need them to contact me. I know the ESC are able to get this for you. I am assuming you're talking about the 504 and IEP Arelis. But yeah, that would be great if the ESC staff can get these things. But again, we don't want to add more work to their plate. So if the parents already have these documents, then it would just be easier grabbing them from them. Jennifer asks, would it be possible to attach the document to the referral in the STAR application? I wish, Jennifer, but no, there's not. Unfortunately, there's no way for us to upload documents in STAR. That is also on my list as far as enhancements, because I think we should be able to. But as of right now, there's not. So that is why you're going to want to keep a paper file for the students, and then you'll be able to include all of that information. But again, yes, that would be a great thing to have, and it is on one of my enhancement ideas for the STAR application, but not as of yet, unfortunately. Yeah, Arella, so the 504 IP, yeah, I'm sure that they can give those to us, and if you have a, you know, I hesitate right now asking the school districts for these things since we've told them all along they don't need it, but if it comes down to it, obviously we are going to have to let them know, but my recommendation would be to ask the parents first if they have a copy or can get a copy. Lori asks, couldn't that be part of the referral so that if the referral is entered, the information is put in a file or something at the school for pickup by the youth technician? Yep, it could very well be, Lori, but like I just said, we've told them all this time that we don't need those documents. It's going to have to come out at some point in time that we are going to need these things and that we can request them from them. Again, if you have a good relationship with the school and you want to say, hey, we just learned that we need these, then by all means go right ahead. I'm just trying to save us some face, if you will, with the schools and not have them say, oh my God, you said we weren't going to have to need any of this and now we do. So if you feel comfortable doing that and you feel that the school will be okay to do that, then please go right ahead. When the referral is entered by the school, is parental consent signature given at that time? So Danielle, what typically happens at the IEP meetings, although I've learned it also happens prior to the meetings, there is a form that is completed by the school that gives the school permission to, one, invite outside agencies to the IEP meeting and consent for a referral. That is one of the documents that's actually on our VRINet, and I have a sample one for you there to look at. Not all school districts use that exact document. Some of them have actually created some of their own. In fact, there was one school I was talking to yesterday where they have wanted to add something to it to be specific to VR. They can do whatever they want as long as they have in writing the parent's permission to make a referral. So yes, that does have to be received prior to. Now what we have on our STAR portal is that little checkbox at the very end before they submit the last or that final submission of the referral. There's that little checkbox that says two things: A, that the student does have a disability, and B, that they have permission to make the referral, that they've gotten that permission from the age of majority student, the parent, or the guardian. So we don't necessarily have to have a copy of that document. You know, we certainly can if they want to give us one, but we don't need that because that little checkbox is sufficient. And again, we were under the assumption that that checkbox was going to be sufficient to show that the student has a disability, but now we actually have to have the proof, which would be the actual document from the school district. Will the youth techs come get some kind of picture ID to identify ourselves when going to the schools? So Gonzalo, because we are part of the, under the DOE, your badge should be sufficient. However, I've learned that in some school districts it's not, that you actually have to do either have a copy of, not a copy, but have a badge by them. And then what I would suggest in that particular instance is you can have your supervisor talk with them, but if you don't need to have anything additional and your VR badge is enough, just use that one. But you should have something. In fact, most schools will require you to have something, but you might just need a visitor pass. But if you actually can use your ID, then obviously that would be best. But that could be something that you could certainly negotiate, if you will, with, or maybe not you, but have your supervisor negotiate for you, as far as having some kind of a picture ID or having a school badge or a permanent visitor badge or something or other. But again, for most people, their VR badge is sufficient. Parental consent is on the 703 that is required by the school district. The social security number is the hardest to get. Yes, I know, Kim, it is. I've actually spoken with Kirk to see if there are some other means and methods of being able to allow students to get through the system. And the way things are written right now, especially in policy, we actually have to have the social security number. I believe there are conversations to see how we can maybe work around, maybe change policy, but as of right now, unfortunately, that is what we have to work with. Okay, so Gonzalo says, I don't currently have a VR badge. So Gonzalo, what you're going to need to do is talk with your supervisor, and then I'm sure they'll be able to get you one. And Tammy doesn't have one either. And Yvonne, can our youth techs? I was under the assumption that everyone had badges, so maybe that's an incorrect assumption on my part. I'll check into that because, again, I assumed that everyone had badges, VR badges. But if not, then we can certainly look at that happening. Supervisors? Oh, here's Laura. Okay, all service source employees will not have one. So Laura, is there a way to get them to get badges? Is that something that can be requested, can be done? Badges only came from VRCs, went to Tally for new counselor training. Well, that's interesting. Only one person in our office has a badge. You have to request one. Oh, so Steve is saying that you have to request one. We have made some in the past, but at this time, Alachua County has not stopped Jessica from entering as long as she signs in. Okay, well, thank you, Laura, for sharing that. Beverly says, I don't have a badge either. Last badge was when we were under the Department of Labor. So I'll look into that because, again, that's clearly a wrong thing that I did yet again. I always make assumptions and comes back to bite me. So I'll check into that because it certainly would be helpful if you guys had something stating that you were VR and getting into the system or getting into the school would be very helpful. Let me see what else I've gotten here. I now have one. It's not a hard process. So Steve says that he has one. It wasn't a difficult process. And Melissa says, I have requested one a couple of times and have been told they do not give badges anymore. Well, there's some consistency for you. So Steve's saying he was able to get one and Melissa no. So again, I'll have to check into it. Staff can get a state ID here locally. DOE badges come from Tally, I believe. Okay. Staff can get a state ID. All right, so it sounds as though they, well, again, I'm going to have to check into it because some say yes, some say no. And I don't know why there's that discrepancy. I believe there's a document that can be completed and taken to your local DMV to have a badge created. Thank you, Tanya. We'll look into it. There's a form online to apply for badges. All right, this is Patricia. I'm a service source office and all of my people have badges. So Patricia, is there a way for you to include in the comment box what that, a link to that form? If you could do that for us, that would be great. Or actually, it would be great for me to have too, since I'm not sure where that is. Erica says, we have been able to get badges for any of the techs that are entering schools. Check with the supervisor. All right, thank you, Erica. I got one, let's see, Ruth says, I got one a few years ago through the driver's license office and it shows employee ID card. Okay, thank you. Yvonne, I also have requested one and they said no. Oh my goodness. Danielle, thank you. Okay, so I believe that this link will get you to the link where you can request a badge. So can everyone see that link that Danielle gave us? If not, I can copy paste it and put it right on your, in fact, I'll do that now. Control C. Let me go to the presentation. Let me swap this. Okay, let me go and I'll create, actually I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that. All right, hold on guys. I'm going to see if I can fix this. Let me put in another slide and duplicate. Paste. All right. So, file. That's from current slide. All right. So you should be able to see now this link. So this is the link that was just provided as far as where badges can be requested. All right. Thank you very much again. Danielle, appreciate that. Laura says, just FYI, Social Security can't get them because we are not technically state, the service source. Can't get them because we're not technically state employees. Laura, though, is there a way for badges to be made for your staff from service source? Because I know on your business cards you say VR, so I'm just curious as to whether or not that's something that can happen. And maybe it's having a conversation with Tina and Steve about the need or the request. Danielle says, we have sent several requests for employee badges but have not received any. Okay, I'm going to check into that. That still goes back. Some say yes and some say no, so I don't know. All VRCs and techs in my unit have received a badge, no issue. Lucas, in the document, the link takes us to, it states, per Linda Parnell, only support staff required by certain schools have an official badge are to receive one. Oh, Linda's not here anymore, so clearly that's an old thing. All right, so again, I'm going to check into that and hopefully I can get some answers for us, but that is great to know, and I apologize that I made an incorrect assumption, but we can certainly look into that because I think it would be helpful. All great conversations and input, and I do appreciate that. I'm sorry that some of the answers that you have I don't have, or the questions you have I don't have answers to, or not things that I can magically snap my fingers and change as much as I wish I could. But we're certainly working on things, and we'll get it, we'll get to these enhancements, if you will, as quickly as possible. If there aren't any additional questions, I will bid you all a wonderful holiday season and thank you very much for your time for being part of this. If you have any questions, as I shared with you in the past, please let me know. Email me. Those of you who had the specific questions as far as your schools and the booths as far as putting them in, let me know. Thanks everyone. Have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.